The cold, hard truth, it's been a rough season, but all we're asking for is some effort.
Hey,
You are Locked On Golden
No matter what
Gophers,
we're going to do here, we're just going to keep rowing.
your daily podcast on the Minnesota
Whatever
Golden
turns out, however it
Gophers.
turns out, we're just going to keep rowing.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We're just going to keep rowing, and keep rowing.
You're listening to Locked On Golden Gophers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name's Kane Rob, host of the podcast, former collegiate football video coordinator and recruiting assistant, here to talk Golden Gophers with you each and every day of the week, Monday through Friday. Today, we're talking some Gophers hoops. If you like Gophers hoops, both men's and women's, if you like hockey, if you like football, we talk it all here at Locked On Golden Gophers. So be sure to hit subscribe on YouTube so you can make sure you get all the latest and greatest contents. You'll get the notifications when we go live after some of the games, and you can help us build the community. So definitely check it out over on YouTube and hit subscribe, leave a comment, and like each video. Also, wherever you get your podcasts, you can find us at Locked On Golden Gophers. Now, let's talk about this thing. My name's Kane Rob, by the way, host of the podcast, former collegiate football video coordinator. If I haven't said that already, now today we're talking basketball, we're talking hoops, and there is no pretty way to put it. Quite frankly, the Gophers men's basketball team stinks right now, and it probably will for the whole season. You and I can be excited for the future. That's fine. And we can talk about the flashes. But this season is tough to watch, and it could make many have questions. Now, don't hear what I'm saying as there's no hype for this program. There's no hope for this program, because that is far from the truth. But I am disappointed with the product that has been on the court for most of this season. Now, you and I, we didn't expect a conference title this year. We didn't expect an auto bid for the tournament this year, but you expected, what I expected is a team that fights and scraps and claws and gives their all. And that is what we haven't been given consistently. And that, my friends, is what is bothersome about this Gophers basketball team. There are flashes of a real college hoops team on this roster, in this program. And when we get the all-out effort, it looks great. It looks really good. It looks promising. When the players play with heart and given hard work and effort constantly on the floor in the games, because I know they're working hard on behind the scenes. I know they're putting up extra shots. I know they're still trying to grasp the offense from different positions within the offense so they can run 4 different positions from one player. I get that. But you want this team to play with a chip on their shoulder. I want this team to play with a chip on their shoulder, go all out, diving for balls, putting in the effort, playing hard-nosed defense. In IU, the game against Indiana at the Barn was a perfect example of that. The first half versus Illinois was a perfect example of that. Wisconsin, even though Tyler Wall was out, it was a perfect example of that. Michigan, game number 2, not game number 1, was a perfect and big example of that. The Gophers going all out, believing in themselves, putting it all on the line, even in shooting slumps, even in rough spurts. The Gophers are diving for balls, or they're scrapping for the ball. They're getting big on the rebounds. They're fighting. They're getting physical. Like, that is what you and I, as Gopher fans, are looking for. Now, plain and simple, I don't think this season can be saved. It can't be fixed. It's too far gone. But fixing the larger issues is a way to earn the fans' trust back. Make your free throws. You're the worst free throw shooting team in the country. We got to fix it, folks. Free throw shooting is a solvable problem. It truly is. And it's not just, oh, well, you got to do it in the games. We can do it all day in practice. No, fix your free throws. If that means staying an hour later after each practice to put up 100 free throws each day, each practice, it'll start to develop. It will. Plain and simple. It's what we've done for years and years, decades and decades, no matter the level, high school, college, pros. LeBron James was a terrible free throw shooter. His free throw percentage has been increasing. Jaylen Brown was a fairly poor free throw shooter. His percentage has been getting better and better because you put in more time, you put in more work, even though it's not fun, even though it's not glamorous, it's repetitive. Find what works. Maybe it's your focal point on free throws. Maybe you need to change up your rhythm beforehand. It's all a mental game after a certain point. There aren't 12 Shaquille O'Neals at the free throw line on this Gophers basketball team. So we got to figure out the free throws. Play with your heart. Play all out with your heart at all times. Play like you love the game. In fact, have fun playing basketball. Yes, I know school can be frustrating. Yes, I know it can be tough being a dual athlete. I know for a fact. Working in sports is extremely exhausting, and it can be tough on families. But playing all out, having heart, and having fun while you still can play this game, man, it's pertinent. Not only for the players, but for fans to see, because that's part of the enjoyment and the love of why they have the game, even through losing seasons. If your team is hyped, if your team is diving for the balls, if your team is scrapping and doing everything it can to win, even against teams it might not stand a chance against, it makes you love the team even more. So get scrappy, dive for the loose balls, have that swagger on the court. The swagger we're seeing Jamison battle get back to. Everybody needs to start to develop that swagger. Everybody needs to have the confidence in themselves, in the system, in what you're doing on the court. This team needs new life, and it needs to start now. But what are the thoughts on coaching? I see some questioning Coach Johnson, and I'm not there yet. I'm not. And I'll tell you why. We're going to talk about that next. First, we got to talk about our friends who bring you this show over at FanDuel. New partner with the show, their official sportsbook for Locked On and for the NFL. In fact, they are the number one sportsbook in America. Again, that is FanDuel. So download FanDuel now, and you can bet the Super Bowl 57 with a no sweat first bet. You'll get up to $3,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. So you're still getting something even if you don't hit on the actual bet. That's why they call it a no sweat first bet. Now all you have to do is head on over to fanduel.com/lockedon to claim your no sweat first bet. Again, that's fanduel.com/lockedon. You can bet on anything from the money line to the point spreads, or who'll score that first touchdown. And you know what? I have no doubt. I have some doubt. I'm not going to lie to you. But Pat Mahomes, with the doubts on his ankle, he's going to have some recovery over these 2 weeks, but I would not be surprised if he runs that first one in. I feel like the odds on that are going to be massive, but I feel it in my soul. So that's where I'm going. But where are you going? Check it out over at fanduel.com/lockedon. Get that no sweat first bet, and you win something even if you lose. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, Gophers fans, thank you so much for listening to Locked On Golden Gophers and making us your first listen when it comes to Gophers sports on the daily. Now, we also have Senior Bowl coverage happening on Locked On NFL Draft for nightly shows for the Senior Bowl. Both Tuesday, Wednesday, and now today, Thursday, will be the final day of that content. Check it out at Locked On NFL Draft at 8 p.m. Central tonight, where you can get the updates on the Senior Bowl. And we're going to talk about it a little bit here tomorrow when it comes to Gophers-related players, because your boy, John Michael Schmitz, has been balling, boy. So we're going to talk about him definitely tomorrow's show, and you're not going to want to miss that. But if you want all the content, all the coverage to know who is coming up in this draft, definitely check out Locked On NFL Draft for that live coverage. Now let's get back to basketball. Let's talk about this thing, because you know what? We want to talk about the coaching. We want to talk about What's going on? I know a lot of fans are questioning the coaching at the program right now and Coach Ben Johnson, and now is not the time to question coaching for the program, in my opinion. Now, this is just me. This is me speaking. Look, we're chilling, we're chatting, we're sitting back, we're having a good time. Casual sports talk. You and me, friend, we got this. Now, I really don't think it's time to question the program or the coaching at this moment. I understand why the thought may be to jump to that conclusion. I mean, the team is struggling with more talent on hand. The effort can be a real issue. And it doesn't help that Richard Pitino Jr. is having a good year with New Mexico. I mean, good for him, but let's also not act like he's playing the top tier competition out there in that conference, but still doing really well. Has had a ranked team on the season. Gophers fans are like, why? Why'd we get rid of him? Some people, not all. So all that paired together, plus St. Thomas, who moved up to Division I and is another Division I program within the state of Minnesota, is doing fairly well. So another intrastate school doing better isn't good for business. It just isn't. All of that in combination could make someone panic and say, we need to fix it now. And I get that. But hold on. Take a breather, because you don't want to make a rash decision. In fact, I think friend of the show and a fantastic Gopher fan in Gopher Rated on Twitter, if you don't follow him, you definitely should, made a great point yesterday after the game by looking at Rutgers themselves, who has been a power in the conference as of late, looking at their Big Ten wins under Coach Pakil. And so the 2016 season, they only had 3 Big Ten wins. 2017 season, they only had 3 Big Ten wins, but they stuck through it. You get to coach seasons number 3, 7 wins in the conference. Season number 4, 11 wins in the conference. Season number 5, 10 wins in the conference. Season number 12. Season number 6 in 2021-2022, last season, 12 wins in the conference. Last 3 years, they've had 10 plus wins in the conference each season. They were patient. They're 7-4 and in 3rd place in the Big Ten right now, and they're making it happen. You can't just freak out in these first couple of years, because you got to get the program in place for your system. Simple as that. Now, another decent example of this is one of my favorite coaches and programs outside of Dinkytown, and that is Coach Tony Bennett in the UVA Cavaliers. Now, he's at Virginia and starting out on that team as around a 500 team. 1 year he was a game below 500, 1 year he was a game above 500 in his first 2 seasons. After that, he has been on his way to 11 of the next 12 seasons with 20 plus wins, a title, multiple 1 seeds. The only season he didn't get at least 20 wins was the random crazy COVID year. What played a role in those first few seasons? What helped them develop and get to a spot where they can trust in it and build in it? He was getting the right players into his system. He was getting said players to fully understand the complex offensive system. He was getting the players to play hard-nosed defense and give all-out effort at all times. Virginia plays in scrappy games, hard-nosed games, low-scoring games, controls the tempo. Scrappy, tough teams. And that's exactly what Coach Ben Johnson is trying to build here. You can see it. When we get the FS1 All Access, you can literally hear it in what he is asking of these players. And the freshmen are still learning. They're still picking it up. They're not all the way there. Now, they're showing lots of flashes. You love to see it again. But they're not all the way there. Heck, even some of the veterans are still learning what the concepts of this offensive system is and how they should be where and how things need to flow and what opportunities create what and how do you need to adjust if a player plays this way on defense as opposed to this, or if a zone approach comes to you. Like, they're still learning. So again, this is exactly what Coach Johnson's trying to do. So that's why I'm willing to be patient, as hard as it may be. You might want to pull your hair out, but you should be patient too. We can ask that, all of that said, all of that, the patience aside, we can ask for better effort without any doubt. Better effort from the players each and every game. Now, there's one thing this team has shown, and that can possibly answer some questions for next year and what this roster could look like. And we'll talk about that coming up next. All right, Gophers fans, we're wrapping this one up with what will this basketball team look like moving into the 23-24 season. I think there are some questions still out there, but what we've seen so far from the Minnesota Gophers is some struggles, is some injuries, is some feeling it out, to be honest. And I think all that said, I would be surprised if Dawson Garcia isn't back. I would be surprised if Jamison isn't back, because their draft stock hasn't been able to be boosted, which we were anticipating it would climb higher to the point where they could maybe test the waters, make a jump, even if it's later in the second round or anything like that. Now, Dawson Garcia has played really well. Jamison has had spurts where he's back to himself, but I don't think it's enough to give a quality look at taking a jump to the NBA. So I wouldn't be surprised to see those guys back next year. Also, you got Parker Fox coming back next year. You've got Isaiah Eaning coming back next year. I don't see a world where those guys leave. So that's 4 scholarships on roster. Then you look at the 4 freshmen. I think all 4 freshmen will be back, and I'm expecting that. So that's 8 scholarship players right there. Then you've got true freshman right now who's redshirting on the year, Caden Betts. He'll be back, not playing on a red shirt, so he'll be getting time next year. That's 9 right there on the roster. And then you add the 2 true freshmen from the 2023 class. Now, we'll see what happens if they get redshirted, if they get a lot of opportunities, if they get eased into it and they don't play till later in the Big Ten season. We'll see what happens with it. But you don't have to rush them, having those 9 players I just said likely back on scholarship and taking up a key quality amount of minutes. So those 2 freshmen can come along however much they need to come along. They don't have to be rushed. They don't have to be thrown into the fire like this year's true freshman group has been. Now, Pharrell Payne, moments of Josh Joseph, they've showed out. They've been like, okay, these guys are the future for sure. Jaden Henley, Braden Carrington have both had moments where it's like, oh, the defense is there. Oh, the rebounding is there. I like the effort. Oh, they can hit a 3 once in a while. But if we're being honest, they're not ready right now for major minutes in the Big Ten. Now, give them a whole offseason, understanding what it's like to actually play in the Big Ten now. Give them a whole offseason of working the aspects of their game they know they need to tweak in order to have success next year. Give them a whole offseason, and they could be real quality players into their sophomore years. So again, that's 9 players on the roster who can take up quality minutes. The 2 true freshmen could play less or more. We'll see what happens, but the real questions lie with Talon Cooper, Trayton Thompson, and Will Ramberg. Samuels is out of eligibility after this year. I'm fairly certain. I could be slightly wrong on that, but I think it's pretty true. And then Talon Cooper, when he came here, he does have 2 years of eligibility, but it seemed like he wasn't sure if he was going to play beyond his 4th year. So that's still up in the air. We'll see what happens with it. So again, Cooper, Thompson, and Ramberg. Now, Thompson's been getting a lot more minutes lately due to the injuries, due to Dawson Garcia being off the floor. But prior to that, it looked like he was almost relegated to the bench. So if and when Garcia comes back, does his time go away? Does his opportunity go away? Does that tick him off and make him want to transfer? Who knows? It's a possibility. In this ever-changing transfer world in college basketball, college football, you name it, you never know. So those three players right there are the real questions on, are they back? What opportunities do they have moving forward? Or do they maybe look at a portal? That's where we don't know what's happening. And if that does happen, what needs to happen? Well, we know that we need someone who can play true 1 position minutes, bringing the ball up the court, not always backing down all the way up the court. being able to efficiently get the offense started and ran, creating opportunities in the pick and roll game, creating opportunities in the wing to big to point triangle that they run every once in a while in different sets. We need players that continue to put minutes in that spot. Now, Talon Cooper has had moments where he looks really good with it, and Talon Cooper has had moments where he dribbles too much, to be honest. Now, I appreciate what Talon Cooper is bringing to this program, and I think he could be a quality player to have again next year. But say one or two of those other players end up leaving too, we still need more opportunities or players that are more natural at the one position. Now, I'm not saying we need point guards, because if you have a point forward, someone who can bring the ball up and run it efficiently, I'm all for it. But we need people that can play that one position efficiently, effectively, and with confidence. So you can kind of get a feel of how this roster is looking. We've got the 9 players that I feel fairly confident in. You've got the 3 others that have some questions around them, and we'll see how this team shakes out. That's going to do it for us on today's episode of Locked On Golden Gophers. Again, we're going to talk about John Michael Schmitz coming up in the next episode. I haven't decided if we're going to do a 2 for today and it'll drop this afternoon, or if it'll be tomorrow's show, but be on the lookout because you're not going to want to miss it, because we all know John Michael Schmitz is an absolute stud and he might be playing his way into the first round. We'll talk about that and more here at Locked On Golden Gophers. So be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss that video and more. This is Kane Rob signing off. Row the boat, Sky. Go Gophers.